Welcome back to the Shine Within podcast. Kristin Kirk is an international healer, spiritual teacher, and writer whose transformative journey began with a profound awakening in 2003. Known for her extraordinary vision and healing capacities, Kristin helps individuals access their multidimensional true nature, dissolve karma, and conditioning and awaken to their innate wholeness. Through her private sessions, workshops, retreats, and live stream Soul Classroom, Kristin offers powerful transmissions that accelerate healing, self realization, and spiritual alignment. Based in Hawaii, aloha, and Massachusetts, she inspires people worldwide to live in harmony with their infinite nature and embrace the miraculousness of life. Oh, I wish I was in Hawaii right now, but like I told you, I'm going to be going there pretty soon as a surprise. So I'm excited to be there where all the magic seems to be happening over there in Hawaii. It's so beautiful.
It is totally magnificent here. I'm very, very grateful. And the magic is happening actually inside all of us where we are. So
That
yes, there
is
is
true.
extraordinary magic with the rainbow that just appeared before we started, blessing our conversation. And I'm very grateful to be here and very grateful to be here with you right now.
Yes, thank you so much. So, Kristin, if you can just go ahead and walk us through your awakening experience in 2003 and how it actually unlocked your vision and healing capacities.
Well, the story is it's an inside journey that then transformed things on the outside. So on the inside journey, I had a shiatsu massage practice and I had this calling for this different kind of work, but I didn't know what it was. So I followed this calling and I studied with different shamans and other brilliant healers and ultimately came to this place of inner failure, I guess. Wasn't quite a collapse, but it was a deep shift on the inside where I felt like I was trusting this voice on the inside guiding me in my life, and that I trusted that to the point where I did crazy things. In college, I heard I would not find a place to live until the very last day that I was in the dorms. So I didn't even look for anything till the last day, which everyone thought was insane. I packed my stuff, I got ready, but and then last minute, I found a place to live, a place for my horse to do a trade for uh, taking care of their horses. And I only had a bicycle and I found a babysitting job nearby. So, like, the whole thing all came together. So, this deep listening had been guiding my whole life. And this listening was, saying I needed to do a different kind of work. So, when I couldn't find it, I felt like I failed my life. I felt like I failed that voice. I felt like I failed source. And so the inside collapse was a kind of collapsing backwards in, like taking the energy of the movement that kind of moved through me, saying, this is your life purpose. And you follow that. That momentum, I turned back around with a sense of failure, with my hands like this, only facing inside, handing it back to source on the inside of my heart, saying, if you want me to do this, you're going to have to do it because I tried. So there was this profound failure. I don't know that my story is getting across the intensity of that, but it's like feeling like you failed your life. So that was what initiated it, was that deep surrendering. There were other components, but that was one of them. And a few months later, I started seeing pictures coming out of people's bodies in my massage practice. And I would see all the details of what happened, who it was with, what the thoughts and emotions were for each person, where it was stored in the body, and how to actually heal it. So it was a wild turnaround, and this healing that deeply wanted to happen started happening. So that's the short version. There's so much more detail, and seeing those pictures of people's current life was just the beginning because I could have it validated. And then after that, I started seeing little gold threads behind those images with another image of all the same players in a different lifetime, different relationships, different genders, and seeing all the storylines behind the scenes for why it was happening in this lifetime. And this was just the start. It's gotten extraordinarily cosmic, galactic, multidimensional, multiverse thing since then, but that was how it started.
Wow. So I'm a massage therapist too for over 17 years. And I did study, this was back in 2005 or six, shiatsu massage, yes, with the meridians and everything. But I never experienced what you experienced. That is so cool. But I do feel energy of the clients. And I'm just like, okay, I know what's going on with them. And then a lot of them always says, "Oh, you have healing hands. You are definitely gifted, you're intuitive," and all these things. And then it's funny because then one lady who was this one of my spiritual teachers, I would say, or guides, she shared with me that my I was a shaman in my past life in the 1700s as a male, and in Costa Rica, in a tribe that exists still to this day. And I was like, really, would it make sense though? Because I love all that stuff. I love energies. I love working with energies. And like I'm holding a crystal right now. Like, it just grounds me. And so I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. What I was going to go ahead and ask you is, what is the turning point that actually inspired you to dedicate your life to guiding and coaching others in ascending their multidimensional, infinite nature?
It's actually, I mean, it started with the shiatsu practice where I was clearly guided. That again, I was following that inner movement. And I did my college degree was studying shiatsu and doing a multidisciplinary program that I created myself through this program where you could do that. You could create your own major. So I was already deeply listening and doing something unusual. So, I mean, I was doing shiatsu before people knew what that word was, and people
Oh,
would say, "Is
wow.
that a dog? The Shih Tzu? Isn't that a dog?" I'm like, "No, actually, it's this amazing, Chinese medicine, healing practice." So I was already off the beaten path, and with this shift that happened, it was just mind-boggling to be in that process of unfolding and having my consciousness shift with it. So it shifted to then seeing layers of reality and light grids and collective unfolding and DNA and karma individually and how that worked into the collective and supporting people transform through that. So it happened through my practice where I was already working with people one on one and loving that work. And it shifted into doing this multidimensional work with people, but my consciousness had to change along with it. So I went through a number of stages of identity dissolving and surrendering over and over again into these larger aspects of what we all are. And at some point, it just was clear that my words were not meant for one person, that the words needed to meet lots of people to serve lots of people. So my practice shifted from doing only one-on-one sessions to now just doing a few one-on-one sessions and mostly working in groups with people all over the planet and working with their souls all at the same time. And I see everyone's soul at the same time in the soul classroom. I see their consciousness, their karma, their conditioning, their enlightened self, their highest probabilities for this lifetime, their astrology, and how to help support them come into the highest possible frequency and clear the conditioning and the karma that's weighing them down. So
Wow.
it was a natural progression as this whole thing just continued to unfold, both within me and with my clients, and then in this larger group setting.
Wow. Now, can you actually go ahead and share some practical steps for listeners to begin accessing their multidimensional truth?
Yeah. So the miraculous and crazy thing is it's everything. It's and anything around you, you can follow through inward to find the truth of it. So it seems like it's out there and far away, but it's not. It is so, I mean, it's closer than close, right? It's what you are. So any practices that people have for deep listening and embodiment and surrendering inside into the inner truth and surrendering into love are going to help serve that process. One of the things that I'll do in supporting people in initial meditation in the beginning when all this work was unfolding is what I call, it's a word that came to me, which is the core flow. So surrendering into the core flow, in through that place where you feel vertical alignment. And in that place, we're balanced, we have clarity. So I would sometimes use outside things to help get me in that clarity. I'd walk on a slack line, or I would walk on a line on the floor. It's like, can you find your balance? Can you find your center? So sometimes you can sit and meditate and drop in and find your center. And sometimes we need other kind of support to do that. And then resting in that alignment, then finding your heart. And you can, if you want, play with an elevator and have your mind ride the elevator down into your heart. And then rest in that vertical alignment and in your heart where they meet, where the cross, center of the cross, and rest. And from there, you can open up in through that alignment and in through that radiance of your existence. So that's one of the amazing surrender points, to keep surrendering through that, meditating, going deeper and deeper into that. So that would be one suggestion. There are so many other things that people can do to help get them in that. I mean, sometimes we use the word zone, right? Get them in the zone, whether it's music or dancing or taking a walk or exercising, but to do it with the intention of accessing that wholeness on the inside. And yeah, so with that intention, there's going to be more focus and more groundedness, where you're grounding all that. So the intention of how you live your life is primary. It's just fundamental. So even if you only take out 10 minutes in a day with that intention, it's like to do that, right? And whatever comes up in the truth of that, it might be sit and have tea and look out the window. It might be just say, I love you to yourself for 10 minutes. It might be to just soften and let yourself expand into your breath and open in through the expanse of the universe through your breath. So it's like trusting your insides and listening to what the perfect thing is for you. It's going to be different for everybody. In terms
Yes.
of immediate things, right? As opposed to me, giving a long spiel or different techniques or things, right? It's like, it's so immediate. That's what I'm trying to get across, is it's so
Yes.
immediate.
Yes. So I've been hearing the word surrender, surrender, intention, intention. And that's what I did. And that's what helped me align to my soul purpose, is I had to surrender because I was very ill with my alcoholism about 7 years ago, over 7 years ago. I finally said, okay, I can't do this by myself. I said, I surrender. You know, I need your help. I cannot do this alone. And it led me to the hospital, which was a blessing because I was able to detox and heal. And from there, then I really sat with myself. No one visited me in the hospital for a week because I had pancreatitis. And so they were just treating me. And then it was me and my higher consciousness and source. Gus, I say, God, universe, source. And I really sat with myself and I was like, wow, I really need to make a decision because the doctor was telling me you're going to either die in 10 years or, you have to make a choice. If you continue drinking alcohol, you will die. And so I was like, oh no, I have two children. This is not right. I need to start loving on myself. And then that's what I did. I made that decision, but I had to surrender first. And that led me to like many things. I keep on surrendering, actually. I keep on asking for guidance. I need help. I cannot do this. I need help. I need help. And with intention too. It all comes from love, of course.
It's so beautiful. My eyes are actually tearing up
Oh,
because I could hear the depth of that moment that you're sharing, when like having a doctor speak wisdom in that way. I don't always hear those kinds of stories. So having a doctor like totally eye to eye, name it, just flat out, honey, you are going to die if you don't make this change. Like, you get to choose, but that's the choice. Like, to have someone put that so beautifully and simply and powerfully in front of you, and the obviousness of it, like, is, I don't know, it starts to make me cry.
oh,
So I just,
thank you.
yeah, I can really feel that. you
Yeah, she
know.
was a blessing. And some of those souls we need right there in that moment to tell us, give us a sign, give us a message, something that will just wake us up a little bit, shake us like, oh, yeah, I don't want to die. I
Right,
need to live. I have a
right,
purpose here.
right. And it somehow feels similar to that moment in my surrendering my life's purpose. It wasn't my physical life the way that you're talking about it, but it had a similar kind of feeling of, oh, wait a minute, I can't do this. I can't do this. I tried. And this is, it still is that power of the soul, whether it's the soul of your life, of your physical embodiment, or your soul's purpose. That same thing. It has that kind of quality of um, that surrender of I can't do it. I either need to help or you need to do it, you know. So it's that same thing. And the surrendering is, I mean, that's one of the main things of my teaching, you know, is the surrendering, because that's the doorway. And it's more like aligned surrender. It's like it's a yeah, it's like surrender, aiming surrender in the right way. It's not surrender where you collapse and um, give up your. It's different. It's like a surrendering into yourself, or surrendering in a deeper way. Every time I go through another layer of self-realization, through these layers of consciousness, I'm surrendering my entire self. So it feels like um, surrendering my entire existence, like the whole, like for awakening, you know, there's the term, the eye of the needle, like surrendering through the eye of the needle. And the whole, all of who you are, your perception, your sense of self, um, everything that's important to you, everything that you feel is precious that you should not ever let go of, you have to let go of. It's that depth of surrender, but it's surrendering in. It's surrendering in from where your purpose comes from where your love comes from where truth comes from. So, where everything precious comes from is what you surrender all that back into. And that's what keeps happening over and over again in terms of awakening through these multidimensional layers of reality, where you discover everything on the outside is literally on the inside, and you can track the space between the stars and the planets and galaxies in your own body, because it's all this holographic weaving. And it all comes into awareness through surrender and asking for help.
Yes, I noticed that because I wanted to know about the world. I'm like, please, I just want to know about the world because I feel like I had to unlearn a lot of stuff in 2020. That was a time of reflection, I think, and a big pause and a stillness. And so I was just I was surrendering a lot. And I was like, I want to know about the world. I know there's more out there than just this. There's more out there than just this conditioned world that we're living in right now. And then I was getting a lot of information, like, or at least like realizations, like, look at this, take a look at this, think about this. And it made me think. And then my wheels were spinning in my head, like, oh, wow, this is so neat. And then I'm like, oh, this is scary. And then I had what I guess what would be called the dark night of the soul. I don't know. I experienced like some ugliness. I felt sad. I felt maybe what would be considered depression almost because I feel like I couldn't share any of this information with anyone, including my husband, because I would try anyway. He thought, you're crazy. I'm like, oh, I'm not crazy. But it was because I was surrendering and asking because I wanted to know about things. But then I still want to know, what are some ways that we can actually raise our consciousness to get more information that aligns to our soul purpose?
Well, that's one of the reasons that I'm offering these, you know, live healings, is because we need help. And
Yes.
so what happens in this soul classroom is there are thousands of beings from all over the galaxies in there, and enlightened beings who are all coming to help support humans accelerate their consciousness. So to accelerate healing and accelerate awakening. And in the soul classroom, you not only have access to support from all these beings, specifically also helping you with the details of what you're working on, your soul level, program. But you also have access to what everyone else is learning in the soul classroom. So there's an exponential opportunity to accelerate your own healing and growth. So we all need help. I ask for help all the time. I work with some of these guides are part of my personal team, and I'm with them all the time. So they'll help out during the day, things will happen, insights will come, there'll be things that I'm working on clearing in myself. So for people to have access themselves, I would encourage meditating and finding that stillness, or doing whatever it is personally that helps one get into that kind of deeper state, and then listening. And I'm going to just listen right now and see if there's any other response. Well, what's happening now, just as I'm listening, I'm just being shown my guides are amplifying an image for me in the inside to speak from. And so I'm resting in my heart now from a higher dimensional body, and seeing the whole plane of our reality within my own heart. And so there's an invitation for people to rest in themselves in such a way to allow that opening to happen, and ask for help from your guides, from angels, from enlightened beings, from masters, from God, source, the universe, whatever language you use. And let me just sit here for another moment and just see if there's anything else to well, the next thing that's just opening in me is the base chakra, but from this larger perspective. So as I'm speaking, I'm accessing this inside myself, but what I want to do is actually amplify it as I'm speaking it, to make it available as a little mini, I don't know if it's going to be a transmission for people, but that as I shift, my voice changes, my frequency changes, and it starts to, so now I'm accessing you and trying to help you find that ground in the base chakra and in the heart. It's like helping to anchor that frequency here as that multidimensional embodiment and truth that we all are. So is this okay that I'm kind of doing this a little
Oh,
bit? Okay.
yes, I
Okay.
love it. Yes.
Okay. So let's see if you can just allow yourself to feel a little bit more in your base chakra. That's where the attention is going in you, is to help you feel that expansive ground. And it changes things, right? And we speak from a different place. And so as this continues to fill out, then I'm resting as that larger embodiment where the world is within me. The world is within each of us, and resting in my heart and the base chakra, amplifying that sense of groundedness, both for you and for all of your beautiful listeners. Can we do this a little bit longer? Is this
Oh,
okay?
please.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And are you feeling any of this? I don't know if
I always feel tingles inside.
okay.
I feel that, yes. And everything comes, I feel it in my heart space too.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So there's just a little bit more of kind of a transmission happening here, and it's a quiet one. We weren't planning on doing this, but it's dropping in through. So I'm just aware even more in through the base chakra, and now I'm seeing little bits of it's there. conditioning or karma. So I think what's happening, I think this is an exercise that people can then play with to come into this in themselves. And then even if it's just your imagination, your soul will, jump on board with this. So in the base chakra, then I'm seeing all these little tiny spots of material of conditioning, and people can invite their system to work with those little tiny bits of story of the conditioning, the karma, the storylines that are ripe for healing and opening up into love and truth, and to allow the light from your infinite heart to shine down through your body to the base chakra for the resting in that infinite ground of your being, and in the that feeling of being solid and grounded here, and allow the union of that light, or just allow that light with the heart and the base chakra together. There's another nuance in here that feels important in terms of people playing with this themselves. It's letting the light shine from your heart down through that core flow down to the base chakra, and inviting it or allowing it, right? Opening and allowing yourself to both receive the light in the base chakra and allow that light to transform the storylines, the densities, the little bits of information that are showing up in that way. When I work in the soul classroom, I see all the karma and all the DNA. I see it all as these little tiny, tiny bits of information. So you can work with really big emotional stories with those huge emotional stories as little tiny grains of sand. When you're in your larger body, that's about the size that they are. So it makes it easier to clear, and it requires surrendering. So if you rest in that light, ask for help, ask for your guides to come in, ask for the enlightened host of beings and angels to help you with this project. I can feel the power of this, right? The transmissions that I do live also sustain in recordings. Mm-hmm. And I can feel that that's what's actually happening right now in this recording for you, is that the host of angels and beings and all these masters of this massive illumination is actually showing up and making the imprint in here to amplify this for people to have. It's so beautiful. This feels really intense in my heart, right? The love that's here. It's like letting that, to receive that, let the light come in. There's now massive amounts of support here to help actually transform and dissolve some of that density that's there in people's lives. So they can come back and watch this little section of your recording over again, just to keep helping that amplify. And I'm seeing that light coming in to kind of actively munch on, right? Like eat up, dissolve those storylines, but from that really small perspective. But when you do that here or in the soul classroom with me, we're working from such a large perspective that it's easier to dissolve long stories and karma and a big history in a nanosecond, because we're working with it at that scale where it's that small in relation to the infiniteness of people's life and the magnitude of who they are and their cosmic self, their enlightened self.
Well, that was so beautiful. Thank you so much, Kristin, for that. Yes, and I will have this recording on my YouTube channel. It'll be there, and hopefully when I then do the short clips, I'll have that segment available too. That'd be yay. I love it. Thank you so much for doing that. Now, I know you've inspired our listeners. Where can they go ahead and connect with you?
They can go to soulclassroom.com and pop in their email to receive 2 free healing transmissions. One is a soul clearing one to karmic clearing, and the other one is a light infusion, which amplifies access to your enlightened self. It helps you, supports the awakening. Both support the awakening process, and so that's the way you can just have them jump in and receive something beautiful. They can also find me on my website, which is kristinkirk.com. And my name is spelled with 3 Ks and 3 Is like your third eye,
Yeah.
kristinkirk.com. So you can also find me there.
Beautiful. And I'll have everything in the show notes. But any last words or thoughts you'd like to share?
I'm so grateful to be here. And I think the biggest thing is speaking about the magnificence of each of us and the details of this whole magnificent reality that we are, that we only just scratch the surface on. It's what we all are. So my interest is in my life's passion is helping people open to this on the inside of themselves, right? For people to remember this for themselves so that they're living in the magic of existence where, it's like you can talk to your animals and hear the trees and have extraordinary wisdom come from the sun and the rain and the ocean and your own consciousness. It's just we're just living a miracle.
Hmm.
And so often we get so shut down and focused in our life in a dense way that we actually like completely forget that we are a living miracle and we're living in a miracle. So that's what I would just want to remind people of is that's what we are, and that's what I help support people remember and
Beautiful.
accelerate that remembering. Yeah.
And accelerate. Yes. Yes. I love it. Oh, I feel like I can talk to you forever. I feel already more enlightened. This is great and feel much better physically too. No joke. But thank you so much, Kristen, for being on my show today.
Yeah, you are so welcome. It is such an absolute pleasure. I just have had so much fun.
Me too. Thank you.
Thank you so much.